Hello, and welcome to the Evolve with Emily show, Takeover Day. I'm your host today, Kat Daya, and today we have a special guest, Emily.
Hello, everyone, and I'm trying not to intro. I'm sorry.
You cannot intro this. This is Takeover Evolve with Emily Day, where we get to ask her all the questions that she asks us and put her in the hot spot, quite literally.
Genuinely nervous. This is my podcast studio, and I'm like, oh gosh.
And I'm sitting in her seat.
This is great, because now I understand. I'm like, why are people nervous? It's just a podcast. It's fine.
Right. Now you know what we go through. Yeah.
Help.
So we've gathered you feeling nervous.
Okay.
All right. You ready? We're going to dive in. I'm going to bring you in slowly.
Okay.
I want to ask you how you're settling in Texas. How are you doing? How are you feeling coming back to your hometown?
Oh my gosh, this is so considerate of you to ask.
Of course.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm so beyond happy. I did not realize the happiness that I didn't have until I came here, and I was just like, a whole new world, because I get to, I'm still working really hard during the week. I'm training really hard. I'm checking in with my coach, but on the weekends and I could do it any day, but we're all busy. We all have lives. Right. And on the weekends, I can text a different family member and be like, hey, come over, or hey, I'm coming over, or last minute just pop in at my dad's place and just, oh, hey, how are you, Dad? And just that freedom and flexibility to be able to see the people that I care about and love the most is so amazing, because it's been 7 years since I've been like a real part of their lives. Wow. Right? Because every time I'd fly in, it would be like, okay, like I'm here. I'm also working for Athlete while I'm here. So I'm doing photo shoots, and I'm also having to train for prep. And so the time that I actually spent with my family was always like, hey, everyone meet at Dad's on Sunday at 2. Right. And now it's just, I get to be involved in all of these small moments that I never got before. It was always just a big moment of like, hey, Emily's in town, everyone try to meet up. Right. And now I get to be there for like all these little small things that you just don't get when you're flying in and out so quick. Right. So I'm so happy. My house is so warm and welcoming, and I love it. And I'm so thankful for it.
It's beautiful. You have a beautiful home. Aww. And it's stunning, and it feels like Emily when you walk in. She's decorated it. I know that your stepmom helped you do that a lot, but like it just feels so warm, and your energy shines so much more brighter here too. I can feel that.
Thank you.
You're back home, where your roots are.
Yes. And it's crazy because I never really planned on coming back. Everyone would always ask me, will you move back to Houston? And I'd always say never, because I'd at least learned that in my life to never say never. But I don't plan on it. Right. And then it's just funny how like life turns, and it brings you back to your roots.
We met in, I think it was April last year, maybe?
I think so.
I remember we went for lunch after you did the podcast with Shane, and I said to you, would you ever move back home? And you were like, never say never. But you were like, but to be honest, right now I'm set in LA. And I thought, damn it, because I'd wished she would move to Texas too, because I knew we were secretly thinking about moving. And it's just crazy how within 6 months now you're here, you have your home, you're with your beautiful family. And I've seen like all of your posts on Instagram with your nieces and nephews and having water fights and just getting to have that quality time together and not missing out on those moments. And I see that in you. Definitely shines
through.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Family is everything to me. So for me, it's kind of like, what is it if you achieve the entire world, yet you have nobody to share it with? Exactly. And even if it's not a relationship, it could be your friends, and it could be your family. It could be those closest to you. So I used to, I think, go at a different pace in life, and I'm really being back in Texas and being around my family. I'm learning a new pace to live my life. And it's one where I work really hard. I achieve, the goals I'm setting out to achieve, but I'm not trying to run ahead of where life has me. Right. I'm really running at a pace where I'm working hard and enjoying my family and my friendships and the things that matter most, because let's say that it's my last month on earth. I always say last day, but let's say that it's my last month on earth. Will I have been proud, and will I have, been really confident about how I spent that last month? And for me, the answer is yes right now. Yeah. And maybe previously it wouldn't have been, because maybe previously I would have been just so focused and so hardworking and pressing so hard towards all of my things and my business goals and, my prep and this and that. And now I just have such a fuller life. And I think that's what it is I have like the fullness of life now. Right. And it's so beautiful. And I'm just so thankful for it. I'm loving it.
I see that. It's what's important, at the end of the day. That's really great that you say that. Like, how would I spend my if it was my last month on earth, would I be grateful and happy in what I did? So that's really interesting. It actually sparked something like, if it was your last day on earth, this is just going to pull out of all the seriousness. Because, it's my show today. I get to take over.
Do whatever you want.
What would be if it was your last day on earth and you had to have your last meal, what would be your last meal?
If you could choose. There's immediately, I didn't even have to think about it, just a picture of a huge steak inside of my head. So definitely a huge steak, probably a baked sweet potato, maybe even a regular potato fully loaded. Macros don't count. I'm about to die. We're doing the regular potato, fully loaded, cheese on top.
Bacon, cheese, all the good stuff.
And I don't know, maybe another fancy side at one of those really fancy steakhouse dinners.
Sounds amazing. Can I come join you?
Of course. I hope you will. I know. Get some laughs in before I kick it.
That's the way. That's great. Well, I love it. Well, great. Perfect. Now we're going to get into the juicy stuff. All right. Not even juicy. So let's see. So first of all, you're doing great in your career right now. You're killing it. Yeah, you've been working on yourself for the past couple of years, and you can just see like the stages you've gone through. You do your amazing workout. What is it called? IFBB? IFBB. Okay, first let me just note to self. We decided to do this like 10 minutes ago, and I came up with this little kind of setup, but in 10 minutes.
This is true. Like she literally was like, hey, I have this idea. I was like, okay, let's do it now.
I was like,
we execute in this household.
Let's do it. No time to use the restroom. Let's do it.
I let you go pee.
Oh, I know you did.
Let her. I'm kidding.
Scary. Blink twice if you're being held with
I was thinking the same thing.
It's not Shane, it's her.
It's been me all along.
But yeah, so you are like very inspirational. You see you doing it. You have your podcast. You do this IFBB program.
Yeah.
Looking amazing. You go to the gym. You take care of yourself. Doing great. What is the one thing you wish you had known before your career began? Like something like you would have known that was going to come up in your life, like something that you'd have known ahead of time.
Yeah, like something I would have known at the start of my career.
Yeah, at the beginning of your career. That you know now.
Yeah, I think I would have just told myself this is a marathon, not a sprint, because in the very beginning of my career, especially my competing career, I had this mentality of just, this is the goal and I have to get it.
Right.
And it's almost like I have to get it now, you know, and if you don't get it now, you feel like a failure. Or there's one time where I got third call outs at a national show and it was the worst placing I'd ever got. Means you did really bad at a show.
Okay. Third?
Yeah.
Out of
third
all those
call outs.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's much lower than
You're
third.
teaching me. Okay. I'm like, third, that's great. I'll take a third place trophy.
No, but I placed really badly at this show and I had thoughts in my mind that like maybe I wouldn't pursue this anymore. Maybe this wasn't meant for me. I was so upset. I was so disheartened. And so I would just look back and tell myself, hey, the wins and losses and failures, they're all a part of the journey. And this is a marathon, not a sprint, especially the industry that you're in. Go for the long term and don't make quick short-term choices that are going to affect you negatively long term, whether that be through diet or through business relationships or whatever. I'll say business-wise, I've done a pretty good job. I only align myself with people that I really, really like align with my core values.
Right.
And that's why I'm one of the, I'll proudly say it, I'm one of the only people that like I don't company hop. I don't business hop.
Okay.
And it's for a reason. Like I align myself with my main sponsors in the very beginning, and it's because I aligned with their core values and who they were as a brand and even their customer service and how they treated their customers. I did leave one company early on in my career because I started hearing stories about how the customers were treated. And I wasn't okay with that. I actually did like the product. I did actually like the people, but their customer service was not good. I was hearing bad stories all around, and then that reflects badly on me.
Right.
And so I can't align myself with somebody like that. And now it's funny because one of my sponsors that I'm with, First Form, they literally have the best customer service, I think, in the world. Somebody called them and was like, hey, so my car broke down and da-da-da-da. And so you would think that they'd be like, yo, unless you need to talk about your diet, supplements, or nutrition, don't talk to me.
Right.
No, the guy was like, okay, well, what area are you in? Let me do something real quick. And he like found numbers for this guy to go and call and like helped him get his car fixed.
That's amazing. All right. So if you ever breaking down on the 101, just
call First Form.
Call First Form. They can get your protein needs and they can get your tire fixed.
Yeah, a lot of oil changes.
That's great though. And I do remember seeing a post the other day about your balanced foods as well and how you've been with them for years. And I see you some nights with your pancakes in the morning and all that stuff. And I'm like, God, that looks good.
Yeah, so it's called Icon Meals. And
that's it.
Yeah, it's okay.
Icon
Meals. Well, they make your nutrition balanced. But yeah, it's called Icon Meals. And yeah, I've been with them for over 5, 6, might be more than that, years now. And I absolutely love them. Food quality is incredible. And if I'm still eating the food 6 years later, like, hello. When people DM me and they're like, hey, I just need to ask, like, do you actually like the food? And I literally just want to like shake their shoulders. And I'm like, why would I eat it?
Why would
6 years later?
Cook it and post about it and then what? Throw it away and not eat it? Like, no, I'm eating this food.
Yeah. And like on one extent, I empathize with them. I understand that there are other social media influencers that only post to be paid and they don't actually use the product. Like that's totally a thing. But I'm like, come on, if you followed me for at least like a week, you got to know that's not me.
Yeah. No. Okay, perfect. Now my phone just timed out because I'm not used to doing this where you have to keep the screen on and stuff. But it's okay. So perfect. Okay. So another question for you. I'll let you have a sip of water first because I know you're nervous on your own show. What is your biggest failure and what did you learn from it?
My biggest failure was my failed marriage. Definitely biggest failure in life. And I learned a lot. What is one thing that I learned from that? I don't know if I could pick out like one specific thing. I mean, I'm sure I could give you a whole list if we're being honest about myself, I guess a few things that I would say is number one, it takes two to tango.
Right.
If you don't have two tangoing, you can't do the tango.
I believe that. I can tango literally.
You can?
So you can't tango alone. It doesn't work with the whole
Yeah. So that's something that definitely that I learned. And I went through so much heartache and that failure because, a lot of people see it as like, oh, it's a relationship, then you're not together. It's not, it's like the biggest failure in life that you could go through. It's the biggest heartbreak. It's the biggest loss. It literally feels like somebody died. It feels like a part of you literally died. And it's so hard because I've tried to go back and understand it and dissect it and, work with therapists on it. And I think it's just one of those things that sometimes you don't really have such a clear-cut explanation for why you had to go through certain things. Because I feel like I did everything right. I feel like I checked all the boxes. And not to say that I personally did everything right. There's a lot of things that I would go back and change in a heartbeat. I feel like who I am now, I know I could be the most amazing wife and I know that I could improve on where I'm at today. And I would love to step into that role. Back then I did the best that I could. And back then he also did the best that he could. And it just simply did not work out. Now I feel like I've learned so much from that failure. I've learned so much from that heartbreak that I would approach even dating differently. I would approach for sure even the thought or the consideration of marriage completely differently.
Right.
And now I also realize too, I feel like back then I had this mindset and perception of things needed to be okay or they always had to be good. And so when they went bad, it like really freaked me out because it was like things aren't supposed to be this way.
Right.
Or when you're suffering, like things aren't supposed to be this way. And so I think maybe the knowing now that, hey, you're going to go through periods of times where you guys are not going to like each other. You guys are not going to see eye to eye. And that's normal. And you're not weird and you're not alone for feeling that way. You're going to need to seek outside help. You're going to need outside, therapists and resources, and that's okay to be in that spot. Just keep going because the mess is a mess right now, but it'll be beautiful later if you just don't quit on it.
That's so important.
Yeah. So I think those are probably just some overarching things that I would tell myself.
I think that the way you say that is like, people always expect when you get married, okay, that's it. It's all rainbows, butterflies, ponies, and rabbits. And it's not. And I think we grow up watching these fairy tales on Disney and we're like, oh, she gets a prince and happily ever after. Well, what about all the other stuff after happily ever after and the arguments and the dirty dishes and who's picking up this? And I think when you're younger as well, do you think that, actually I want to ask you, do you think that your age had something to do with that? Because you were quite young doing those decisions and going through this big life and getting married, such a commitment and
For
stuff.
sure. And the reason why we got married at the time that we did is because it was simply just the next step. Like everyone in our lives were like, when are you going to get married?
Right.
And we kind of were like, it was I would kind of say an unconscious decision in the sense that we were like, of course we'll get married. Like we love each other.
Right.
But now being such a, more mature version of myself, I realize that there's a lot of things that you need to be conscious of. There's a lot of conversations that you need to have. Yep. And I think that those conversations weren't had simply because we were in love and we thought that that was, what you needed to survive.
Right.
And it was very clear that like that love wasn't enough. So yeah, I think age had a lot to do with it. And I really wish that people would tell people in their 20s to stop getting married.
Yeah. I have to say though, and having moved to Texas recently and experiencing meeting a lot of people that are my age, and I'm 31, and most of these 31-year-olds, and I don't want to assume, but the majority that I've met have all got like kids. They've been married for 8 years. And I don't know if that's culturally, is that like a Southern thing to kind of get married early, have the kids early, and go. So that's what you're saying when you felt like it was the next step. It's like, well, okay, you've done this, you've been together, get married. So do you think that that's definitely an impactful?
Yeah, I think it was definitely impactful. And we also were the couple that everyone betted on, I think. Like everyone thought for sure that we would make it no matter what. I do think that us being separated, we were in California when we separated, and all of our family and everyone we kind of knew was in Texas. I think that separation actually hurt our relationship. And now moving forward into like a new relationship, I understand the importance of some really good, encouraging people that are around the relationship itself. Absolutely. That help to encourage the relationship to keep going, because, we didn't really have anyone in our immediate life or our immediate world that was kind of like championing our relationship.
Right. And
I think it's so important to have people who will really come alongside of you and be able to be there for you guys in the hard parts, to say like, hey, I know you're going through it, but you got this. Like, and like, hey, like, yeah, let it out, vent those things that you need to vent, like do whatever you need to do, but okay, go get to work. Like, and just kind of like a support team. And so I think, I've always, you attend weddings and you see the pastor, whoever, talk to the family or to the friends saying like, hey, like encourage them, support them. And now I just understand that on such a different level. Like we as individuals need community, but I think that we as couples and in relationships, we need community as well. And we need the community that's not saying, yeah, you're right, he sucks, he's, such a this or that. But the person that's just willing to listen to you and then give you feedback that is encouraging to that relationship. Like people that are truly on your team in that relationship.
Absolutely. Because like you said, having people around you that support your relationship and build you up and help you go through those hard bits, you notice, but you also notice on the other end of the spectrum when you have people that don't support it.
Yes.
Because that's very impactful too, when you have those people like, oh, leave him, don't do that, don't give up, don't work through it. And I think that's a lot of the mentality that we have in this day and age, is like, oh, you had a bad argument, oh, there's plenty more fish in the sea. And I almost feel like dating apps and the internet and social media has allowed people to have so many more options that people will just give up way too soon.
It's so true.
Go for the next, whatever's out there. Whereas I feel like I love getting advice from older people.
Yes, me too.
When I was a server and I used to work, I would always see the older couples together, and I'd be like, how many years have you been together? I'd be like 50 years or 40 years. And I'd always ask them, well, what is the secret? What does make work? And, I'd always get the answers: best friends, work through it. It's not always going to be good. Laugh through the madness and the sadness. And it's so true. And I feel like, first of all, with my relationship, you're one of our number one biggest cheerleaders, and I want to thank you for that.
Of course. I love you guys. I will cheer you guys on anytime.
I love it. I'll just get you some pom-poms and you'll be sorted. Just gotta get you some Houston pom-poms or whatever.
Houston. That means Houston, guys.
Yeah. We're going to do a TikTok later on, what is it? The Texas words and the British words. Because what did I call? I didn't call you.
Danger or something?
Danger.
What's it called?
A wanker. I said a wanker before, and I don't know who I was referring to. But I said it, and you were like, what does that mean? And then I was like, it's like a knobhead. And he's like, what's a
knobhead?
Sorry, this is Evolve with Emily explicit version.
It is. Go ahead.
Swearing. Usually it's like, oh my God, we got this. You do this. And here's me just calling people wankers. And
it's okay. We in America don't really understand what that is. Or some of us might, some of us won't. So it's okay.
Perfect. All right. I'm going to bring it back to my questions and stuff. Okay. What advice would you give someone wanting to pursue, I guess, a career similar to yours? So maybe start with the podcast and then maybe in the health with the IBPF.
IPV.
What I mean.
So somebody who's looking to kind of do what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Advice I would say is start getting really good at executing. So getting into this industry, it's like, okay, you could do a podcast, you could do a YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. There's so many outlets, right? I would say first start on what feels most natural to you or what you feel most pulled towards. And then just start executing. Don't worry if you don't know how to edit it properly or if you know how to plug in the right microphone microphone and connector for your podcast. Like there's all these things that you're going to have to figure out. So don't let those things stress you out either. Just see it as this like curious game of, okay, what's going to work? Let's find out.
Right.
You plug these things in, it doesn't work. You're like, okay, not that. Let's see if this works.
YouTube this, figure it out.
And so get good at executing, get good at figuring it out, and then focus on building relationships. Ever since the start of my fitness industry, I have just been really good about, I think it's because I genuinely like people. Most people. Sometimes I would say the opposite, to be honest.
I was going to say...
Sometimes,
we could talk that on another episode. Yeah,
that'll be another episode.
That'll be another one.
But I guess what I mean is that for the relationship, like you'll look at my relationships within the industry, and you'll see that I've been friends with these people for the entire time, like 7-8 years. And I think that building those relationships has provided for me a lot of the things that I have now.
Right.
And then also not being afraid to go after something and not get it. Because chances are you're not going to get it on the first try. With First Form, they reached out to me and I started working with the brand, but I wanted to be a sponsored athlete with them. And I even told them, I'll be a sponsored athlete one day, don't worry. And yeah, and I applied for the athlete thing. It was like an athlete search and I did not get it. Did I sit there and pout and post about it on social media and say, they didn't choose me. They don't see my worth. They don't see my value. No, I was like, all right, well, let's keep going. Cause I know that I align with them, and I kept going. I kept, putting in the work, being a part of the brand, building those relationships and friendships. And eventually I got it with Icon Meals. I reached out to them multiple times. They were like, we're not really taking on sponsored athletes right now. Basically shot me down. No. But I would see them at events and I would build that relationship and build that rapport, and not in a fake way, but just like I genuinely thought that they were an awesome brand and company. So I put myself in those situations on purpose. So I put myself out there. I wasn't scared to put myself out there, to be the one reaching out. And I wasn't scared to get told no, because I was like, the ultimate answer is yes. And I know it.
I love it. You knew better. But
Yeah.
It's true. That's great, because, so many times we get told no and we fail at something and we're like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to do that again. Or I've been hurt about it, I failed. But if you just keep going, and like you said, life is about failure. You're supposed to fail, because otherwise you won't learn anything, and you just be floating on a cloud, and life will be all good, and you're not going to go through the hard times and fail, and you're not going to appreciate it as much.
True.
I feel like when you got that First Form, finally being the athlete, like you were probably so appreciative, because it took you so long, and the journey that it took you to get there, and that's beautiful.
Yes, and it's funny because that's happened in most areas of my life. So like with First Form or with my IFBB Pro card, I chased that for a few years, and it was 14 shows that I did. 7 of those being big national shows, where I went and some shows I placed really well, other shows I didn't. And so I had to take those hits. And a lot of people, they haven't had an opportunity in their life to be humbled. So they have this ego response where it's like they didn't get the placing that they wanted, and their ego gets bruised, and their ego gets hurt from it. But if you can instead not have that ego reaction, but just have a humbling moment of like, all right, I'm just not there yet. I'm not there yet, or it's not my time yet. And once you can really accept that, it allows you to go after these things in a more peaceful way, in a more steadfast way, because you can be steadfast when you know full well, I've given it everything that I can, and I still might not get it.
Right.
And when you know that, but you still have the belief in yourself that I know I can, and you go after life that way, it allows you to take the hits. It allows you to just kind of shrug them off. Yeah. And then when you do get it, you're so much more thankful, and you're just in such a great spot. So I would definitely say to the people that are going through that journey, or maybe experiencing the failures of the beginning of business and getting into the industry, to put your ego aside, humble yourself, understand that anyone that you see as successful, they're only successful because they've had a lot of failure underneath that. So get with the rest of the program.
Great. I love it. I love it. Okay. Last serious question. Then we're going to move on to the funny bit. Who are the 3 people who have been the most influential to you?
Number 1 is my dad.
You answered that fast straight away. I love that.
For sure. Yeah, my dad, 100%. He's shaped a lot of who I am. We used to do character building classes when I was literally like, I don't even know how old, 10 years old. character building at
That
6
is
a.m.
amazing, though.
I know.
Like, he's way ahead of our time, because I feel like that's what our kids should be learning.
Oh
right
my
now.
gosh. I know. And it's so funny because we used to be like, Dad, we hated waking up that early. And he's like, do you think that I liked waking up that early as a dad with a full-time job taking care of all you kids?
Right.
You know, but he did it anyways. And a lot of the life lessons that he taught us totally stick with me now. And even the lessons where we used to think my dad was just incredibly competitive, but really he was always like teaching us something, you know, like when my younger sister, I'll tell on her name's Elizabeth, she was rock climbing, got like almost to the top, and you know, there's a bunch of people there. It's not like we're the only ones there, and she's crying, and my dad is like, absolutely not. You made it that far. You're going to make it to the top. You're going to ring the bell, and then you're going to come down. And she's like crying, and then it gets worse. Now she's having a full-on meltdown at the top of the rock, you know, climbing wall. And we're looking at my dad like, Dad, you're being a little intense. Like, we're at a family event. Like, you should probably just let her come down.
Yeah,
and he was like, absolutely not. You go and you touch that now. And he made her go to the top and touch it. And she did. And then bing, the biggest smile on her face, because she realized that she could do something really hard that she thought that she couldn't do. And then she came down and she went up a million times after. So it's moments like that where we always thought my dad was just like really intense and competitive. And in reality, he was like teaching all of us like huge life lessons.
That's amazing.
So my dad, for sure. The second one that comes to mind is actually someone who has been a friend of mine for, I think like 7, maybe 8 years now. He's been a friend. He's been a mentor. He's been somebody that I've worked for and worked closely with as well. And he's just helped me so much in my life and my business career, in my business mindset. And he's someone who I feel like it's like the male version of me, which is funny because a lot of people tell me that I'm like the female version of him. His name is Andy Frisella, and he's the MFCEO project, if you guys listen to podcasts. And I'm so thankful for coming across him in my life and for his mentorship and his guidance and his everything in my life. And, you know, we have a real relationship, meaning like it's not always been rainbows and nice butterflies.
Right.
It's also been like, you know, thorns and
axes and choke
yes.
outs.
Yeah. Close to, yeah. But he's been really impactful in my life, so I'm thankful for that. And then the third one, I would actually mention someone who came into my life, I think, oh gosh, I don't remember. I think it was in 2017 now. And this woman has been such an amazing mentor, friend, motherly figure in my life. And she's kind of been a mentor like spiritually to me. And she's been the reason for a lot of my spiritual growth as an adult. And her name is Amy Evans. And I love her so much. And truthfully, like she has put so much good seed into my heart. Good seed of good advice and encouraging advice and teachable advice too. Moments where she needed to like bring things to my attention, and just really just has grown me so much spiritually and just made me a better person all around. So yeah, my dad, Andy Frisella, and Amy Evans.
Shout out to you guys. Is Amy here? Is she in Texas?
She's not. She's in California, but currently today in Florida because her family lives in Florida.
Love it. Technology now, you can Zoom, FaceTime, all that.
We are
stuff.
actually Zooming tonight.
You are?
Yeah.
Well, tell her I say hi.
I'll tell her. Hi from Kat.
Tell her I'm the new host of all of the Emily Takeover Tuesdays.
I love it.
Takeover Tuesdays.
That's perfect.
You heard it here first. All right, so we got through the serious stuff. Now we're going to go through some fun stuff. Okay. So what superpower would you have if you could have one?
I used to always have an answer to this. Oh, no. I know what my superpower already is. Okay.
Ooh.
What? Well,
I need to know what your superpower already is. I feel like I can guess it, but I don't want to because maybe it's not that.
Well, okay. So I was thinking of a different question. Are you sure? Can we go off on this one?
No,
okay.
I do. Are you sure? I love that you just checked with me.
Well, because it's your show. I just want to make sure I'm not being a jerk.
I love it, yes.
Okay, so I've gotten asked the question before, like if you were a super hero inside of a movie, what would your superpower be? And mine would be like, I would be like the last line of defense that people would call out because I would be undeniable, meaning I would overcome every single thing. So like you try to shoot me and I like can't die. Like I literally can't die. I overcome every single thing and I always get to where I'm going.
That is the superpower. That's like the ultimate superpower.
I know.
That's
why you only call me last, because they know they're in trouble if I come out.
Because that's it. It's game over.
Okay, so if I could have a superpower, what would it be? I'm going to try to be funny and not lame and corny and heartfelt because that's where my mind goes. I'm like, stop being corny. Do something fun.
Get into your TikTok brain.
Yeah, TikTok brain. My superpower would be that I could eat anything in the world and never gain an ounce of weight. I would just look at my ideal shape 24/7.
I love that. I would
because
like
I
to borrow
love food so much. No, that would just be a great superpower.
Me too. I wish that I could make sugar be good for you. Like the more you eat, the more fit you get. Like
I love it.
The more cookies you have, the more abs you get.
I'm down for that.
That would be amazing. They should just, figure that out. Also, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay. Scared.
What?
So scared.
Do you have a secret talent that no one knows about, that only you or close friends or people know?
A secret talent? I don't think so off the top of my head. But I think something that people don't realize is that I'm actually very funny. I just don't have the opportunity or space to show that to people usually, or I don't film it or I don't show it. But if you're actually around in my real life, I allow the comments to go from my head to my mouth, I feel comfortable enough that there's going to be no judgment and you understand that it's just a joke and that I'm not around sensitive people. I think I'm very funny.
I believe that. I think so. And I think it's going to be shown on TikTok soon. Don't forget to go follow Emily Hayden on TikTok. Right now she has 34 followers. We're going to grow that. So go hit the follow button, please.
Emily Hayden _ because my name was already taken.
Who?
I don't know.
I will hunt them down and jujitsu choke them out.
Yes. Perfect.
Okay. Do you know any jokes? Knock, knock.
Who's there?
I don't know.
This is your joke. This is your joke. I don't know any jokes, but I do love good corny joke. Like when you go to jokes.com or something.
Like the dad jokes and stuff.
I think it's so funny. So my trainer Douglas Fruchet in California, shout out to him because I miss him and love him so much. He used to always come and say, hey, joke of the day. And he's this massive bodybuilder dude. And it would be the dumbest, corniest joke.
I love it.
And I loved it. I was always for it. And I was like, that's a good one. There's only one or two where I was like, no, not at all.
There's a few that go over my head. I mean, I feel like we don't tell jokes enough anymore.
You're right.
Back in the day, we used to always be tell us a joke, and you tell jokes. It's we're so with the technology and the social media, and we're just scrolling and we're watching things. It's let's tell some old-fashioned jokes.
Yes,
they're great.
Okay, so a few things I want to do in my house are I want to have books there's this book you can get that's conversation starters. So it's questions that you can ask your friends. So say that you're all over, you can just grab a book. Hey, question. And then you ask them and it starts a series of questions so you can go deeper with each other. But a funny idea would be to grab a joke book now that you've mentioned this and just put the joke book down on the coffee table. So when people come over, just grab it and crack a few jokes.
Absolutely. I think that's great because I think going to hang out with someone and we talked a little bit earlier about how a lot of people just kind of end up going on their phone and you and I both said I hate that and I appreciate that when we hang out we're literally not on our phone except for when I'm hosting Evolve with Emily. I need it. But you go over and you have a conversation started. It's it's gonna spark way more connection between the people you're hanging out with and doing jokes and just bring more laughter and again bring that old school back. Bring old school back. I'm very for that.
Me too, because we're so connected in this day and age with everyone around the world, yet we're the most disconnected with people that are right around us all the time, which is just crazy. And I think it starts by just putting your phone down and choosing to eye contact. It's crazy how many people cannot make eye contact these days, especially the next generation. They really lack the ability unless they're for example, my nieces and nephews, they aren't really allowed too much time on those screens or phones at all. They're such kids, they play all the time. And I love it. It's so innocent and so, they're able to interact and have that eye contact with you.
Maintain a proper conversation because they're not used to just looking down and stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it. Okay. You know how Beyonce has the alter ego and isn't it Sasha Fierce or something?
Yes.
What would your alter ego be and what would her name be? Her, him? It could be a him, could be her.
Oh, alter ego. Oh gosh.
I'm really putting you on the spot.
I think I would be the executioner. You
Blink
said alter ego.
The executioner. So what does the executioner do? Execute?
Yeah.
I love that. And you would
It would take out all the evil in the world.
I love that. That's
literally.
great.
And I was going to be specific, but I don't feel that I should say that online. So it would take out all the evil in the world.
I think you should change your TikTok name to the executioner. I really think, and I don't think that's been taken.
That's amazing.
I'll check it, but that's great.
That's not bad.
That's really good. All right. Let's see. We're almost done. Real quick. Oh yeah, real quick. Pineapple on pizza? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. I feel like yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I feel like people. I
don't
judge
know why
people.
it's such a thing.
I know. I'm like, I love pineapple on my pizza.
It's great. I really, really don't understand no pineapple on pizza thing.
So I have a one would you rather question, and then I'm gonna go into a little game we're gonna play. Okay. And then we're almost done.
I love this.
So would you rather go without shampoo for the rest of your life or toothpaste for the rest of your life?
Without shampoo.
Got it.
Yeah, because I can dry shampoo, and I have such a thing with like brushing my teeth. Like, don't say a syllable to me unless I have brushed my teeth. You included. No, like literally, even Vinny, I'm like, you know, I'll kiss him like briefly. And then I go like first thing I do every morning, brush my teeth. Like, don't want to do anything. I won't take a sip of water.
Nope. So that's what you'd be taking on a deserted island would be toothpaste.
At least a toothpaste, yes.
You could use a stick. Yeah, a little make your own toothpaste.
Yeah.
All right, so we are going to play a game.
Okay.
Because I love games and and also that's another thing. We should play games more often, like have game nights and play Monopoly, play cards. Because again, it's all technology. Like I love playing games. So we need to have you over and do a game night soon.
I'm so down. I'll come anytime.
Perfect. So this is a game. It's called a word association game. Oh gosh. So you have to clear your mind. And if you've seen Friends as well, Phoebe does this with Ross. Again, I keep referencing. So I'm going to say a word and then you're just going to say the first word that comes to mind.
I'm scared.
We may have to edit this. I'm joking.
I feel like I should close my eyes. Should I close my eyes?
Yeah, close your eyes. It's fine. All right. All right. Rock music.
Damn it. Damn you. Damn you.
I didn't even mean that to be the first one.
Tommy. Tommy's one of our very good friends.
I just wanted to make sure that Tommy got a shout out. You're welcome.
Oh, is that why?
I actually just wanted to see if you say Tommy.
Tommy Vext, we love you.
We do. Even though you iced my old girl tea, we love you.
He ices your tea.
He iced my old girl tea, but that's fine.
Offensive.
All right.
I got to reset.
Yeah, I feel like that's it. I should have ended on that one.
Yeah. Show's over. No, go ahead.
Okay, close your eyes. Mm-hmm. Car.
Maserati. I don't know why.
Ooh, that's what I'm saying. This is the whole point.
Not even my favorite.
You're not supposed to know why. It's like I'm trying to tap into your unsubconscious brain.
Interesting.
And there's going to be a link somewhere. It's this. I have a psychology degree. I'm trying to psychoanalyze.
Oh God, I'm scared. Don't analyze me. Analyze. I said that weird. Okay.
All right, you ready? Mm-hmm. Banana.
Pumpkin.
Pumpkin.
I said pumpkin.
That's great.
I don't know why.
I love it. I don't know why either.
I feel crazy.
Pumpkin.
Am I crazy? Does that mean I'm crazy?
I mean, I don't know what I would have said. But it's a fruit. It's a vegetable.
I don't know. What is a pumpkin?
Great.
I think it's a vegetable.
Pumpkin's got to be a... Yeah. Actually, I don't know. If anyone wants to comment below, don't DM. Just comment. Just DM. Tell us whether you think a pumpkin is a vegetable or a fruit, please. These are supposed to be like fired off, but we can't even make it through one.
I'm trying to reset.
All right. Baby.
Toddler.
Diamond.
Ring.
Government.
Dead.
USA.
America.
School.
Lame.
Husband.
Non-existent.
Friendship.
Love.
Pink.
Purple.
I've lost where I'm written now. Exams.
Hard.
Podcasts.
Love.
Aww. Me.
The best.
Woo! I think we have to end on that. This is Evolve with Emily Takeover Tuesdays, and my name is Kat Daya. Now, please tell the viewers where they can find you on your own podcast.
You can find me all over where you're already at.
I'll link it all below in the in my comments area section, and please feel free to comment and let us know if you enjoyed this Takeover Evolve with Emily podcast. My name is Kat Daya. You can find me on kat.daya on Instagram or on Boston and the Brit. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Later. That was awesome.
That was so fun.